Okay.
Welcome to the Literature Cafe Global. My name is David Cosi, with your host, Brian Persetti. And starting out, we're going to have some music by Patrick Michael.
Okay, ready?
Yes, sir.
I've been through the wind and rain, been through so much pain. Somehow I made it through. Don't know what I do. I said, I'm still alive. I'm still alive. I survived. I'm still alive. I was in my hospital bed. Doctor came in and shook his head. I don't know when you'll be dead. I'm still alive. I'm still alive. Don't know how I survived. I'm still alive. Lost so many friends in the past. Somehow things just don't seem to last. I know I'll find my way, looking for a better day. I'm still alive. I'm still alive. Don't know how I survived. I'm still alive. There we go. Still working on it. That's it.
Thank you. And now for our host, Brian Breschetti.
Feedback. You ain't got to pay for it.
Yeah, really.
It's a free part of the show. We don't get some feedback now.
Wish we could get Jimmy in here.
Yeah, really. Thank you, Patrick.
Shit.
Hey, guys, that was Patrick Michael. He is one of the hosts of the show. And it is a joy to be here tonight because we're doing something special. We're doing Open Mic Cookville meets the Literature Cafe Global, which in a sense it's always been that way. We just went under one title. So there's a lot of cooperation, a lot of groups coming together here. So this place is kind of a mirage of poetry, music, creativity. Sometimes we don't know what it is. We just let it go, and this is what you get. I want to thank everybody for being here. We have Henry O. Jones here tonight. He is Poet Laureate of Hendersonville, Tennessee. We have Finn Hall from Scotland. Amazing stuff tonight. We have people listening. We have a chat box. Hey, we got it all. Anyway, I'm going to have David intro Francesca, and we get to hear this mystery feature she's been speaking of. Miss Francesca Kirkpatrick.
So I wanted to say a few things about Francesca. I just wanted to thank her for being such an integral part of this thing from the beginning. I was not a part of this show in the beginning. It was Brian, Francesca, it was Patrick Michael, and a few others. It's just really awesome to see all the people who stuck around from the beginning. I got in this kind of like, I don't know, February of 2020 maybe is like probably when I first started participating. I don't even know if it was that I don't know. But anyways, that was about when I started. So it's just really awesome just to see those of you who are committed to this. And I really enjoy being a part of this show. It's just, it's been so much fun. Brian's one of the easiest people I've ever worked with in my life as far as like, making projects with and stuff. And I just, Francesca always has like some very interesting poems that she's either written or that she pulls from other sources, but they're always just like very interesting content that kind of helps tie into the different seasons in which we've had this show. So I appreciate it. So here's Francesca Kirkpatrick. Thank you.
Okay, you guys. I'm Francesca. I am from Nashville, pretty much lived here since I was 5 years old. And I've got something to say about music. Here's my little piece on music. Music is the electrical soul in which the mind thinks, lives, feels, everything electrical stimulates the mind to musical fluent outstreaming generation. I am electrical in my nature. This is from Beethoven himself. He wrote in 1810. And I celebrate all musicians because music in Nashville has been my life. Working at different clubs like 12th and Porter, 3rd and Lindsley, different ones like that. I've got a whole list of them. There's probably like 100 of different ones that I've actually been at here in Nashville, Murfreesboro area, or all the way up to Clarksville, and also surrounding. I've been on music tour a lot, and I've got to tour a lot of the world, and I really miss it. And hopefully I'll get back out there sometime really soon with poetry and do the same thing, because it's just really wonderful to meet faces. And even if you can't be there, we can be together here on Zoom and see each other and know that we still feel the love. This one I wrote for a Finn Bell's thing. I guess it was last week or so. It was, or actually it was the week before. It is called Not in the Card, Star-Crossed Lovers. And I did this little thing where in the side it spells out, wow, how time murdered us. So each letter will, at the start of the sentence, will be the thing. So here we go. Not in the stars, star-crossed lovers. When I first heard your voice, our eyes locked in wonder. Well, I think we both were surprised. How are the cards dealt and shuffled? Oh, how we laughed together when we became we, not just I. Time would grow on us together. Time grew us together. I never thought about a future without you. My heart felt love was so sure. Everything about you. The five senses, smell, sight, touch, sound, taste. Oh, my perfect fit. Lock found key. Universal cosmos bursting with life lovers. Revelry racing by, dancing the night away. Desire to hold each other through eternity. Eternity's everlasting love spell. Revelry twisting my heartstrings. Embarking on a journey, two souls' fate, dying lovers in each other's arms, unlimited kisses until our last breath, star-crossed lovers not in the cards. Wow, how time murdered us. Like I said, it was spelled there. So I actually started listening to some stuff. So I'm going to mix this in a little bit because I started talking about love, and love is one of my favorite things to talk about sometimes. The collected wisdom of Florence Scovel Shinn. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of her, but if you have a chance, look it up, and you can also see some maybe like on YouTube or Google. But I'm going to read the affirmations that she talked about in love. Love. With usually comes a terrific fear. Nearly every woman comes into the world with a mythical woman in the back of her mind who is to rob her of her love. She has been called the other woman. Of course, it comes from the woman's belief in duality. So long she visualizes the interference, it will come. It's usually very difficult for a woman to see herself loved by the man she loves. So these affirmations are to impress the truth about the situation upon her. So comest mine, for really there is no oneness. See the game of life and how to play it to learn more. So, anyways, that was a part of something that I'd been reading. Just got it in from the library, but I'm so excited to be able to read some of this. There's even one about Snow White and the Seven Dwarves in the book, and everything talks about how she came in to keep house and do all these things, and what it really means for the people to come in and do these particular things. About being a protector, about being a guide, about your health. There's so many things that are in this piece. So her name is, and it was actually from an older time, but yet everything that she's talking about is a very cool thing, and sort of like in the vein of the other part I'm going to read in a second, my letter to Harry Potter. But here's part of her thing. Your word is your wand. It is a book of affirmations. These affirmations will help you invite the things that you want in your life and banish those things that you do not want. There is power in words, and the book helps you unlock the power. So, anyways, here we go with the Harry Potter letter that I wrote, because last week I got to dress up and have my little stick from outside and magic wand and wave around and listen to everybody talk about Hogwarts. Dear Harry Potter, I have been to Hogwarts, Castle Alwick in England. It appears that I am a Ravensclaw. After a test, riding the train at Universal Studios gave me a real experience. Being both life, student, and teacher, I fit in everywhere. My love for animals makes this even more pleasure to learn. Plants, forests, and also interesting creatures, the magical world that you live in through books and movies are spellbound treasures. Keep fighting for what you believe in. We all have scars and have lost dear family and friends. Harry, you remind us to carry on life's adventures. Signed, Francesca, House of Ravenclaw. Yes, and I do a lot of, like I was telling Brian, I'm going to start posting on his page, Literature Cafe Global, some of the art that I do, because we also, through the years, we've also talked about the art that we do together. We, both of us have done not just poetry, but we've been painters, and I'm doing coloring books and things like that. So that's part of that. Now, here's the other part that he told me to do, and I'll do a little bit of it, but then I'll stop after that, because I know I might not be able to keep doing it, because it takes a lot of energy to ramble. So here we go. I was laying in my bed. Oh, my goodness. I figured out that having 2 feet in boots, well, not the kind of boots you're thinking of, because, you know, we kind of do line dancing here in Nashville, Tennessee, but no, not that kind of boots. Well, I found myself having to have surgery because I stood up too long on the concrete blocks. Well, I didn't have any clue that I had health conditions that were going to cause all of these weird things happen in my body. But okay, well, I go in and I talk to the doctor, and he says, well, I think I'm going to do surgery on your legs. Well, I thought legs. Oh, I thought what, legs like a frog? What's going on? Well, you have to lengthen these legs. So we have this thing called gastric recession therapy. Okay, so I go in and I'm laying on the operating thing ready to go in, and he says, I'm sorry, but we only do one at a time. Did you think you could actually stand on both of them if we did both? And I wasn't thinking that at all, but they kept saying legs and then went leg, and I thought, wow. So, and then I thought, well, okay, I'll just throw in the toenails. Oh yes, your toenails really need, but who knew that my toenails wouldn't heal as they were supposed to heal on a timely manner? So they turn purple. Oh yes, I don't even have to have fingernail polish to make my toenails turn purple, and my toes turn purple every day. So I have to put them up, and I love this dog. This dog that's laying in front of me. Oh, this dog! I cannot believe how much this dog. It's like I have to put it under my knees. It's like a giant dog, but it's something my mom left me because she passed away many years. Well, maybe it's like 3 years ago, but it seems like a long time now. She gave it to me because she said, I love you this much. So I remember how much people love me, and it says puppy love. Also, let's see, I propped up my feet every night, hoping that my swelling would go down, because I thought I might just go with one of my friends to do something or something or something, and I think, okay, I'm getting, and people say, are you better? Are you better? Well, am I better? It's a daily thing. Even the doctor says it. Oh, you heal slowly. But that doesn't mean that you can't gab, and talk and talk and talk. So if anybody else wants to hear me talk and talk and talk and talk, that's it. And I'm just being silly because, like I said, Brian encouraged me to do this thing called rambling. I guess I could be an auctioneer. Okay, I'm done, you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I plan to heal as best I can and be back out there on the scene. But you don't want me on my medicine because I would probably be asleep and falling asleep and not know it's time for the show. So anyway, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you, Francesca. That was a beautiful, beautiful thing you did. I've heard about it and I've been waiting on it, and I'm inspired to do something too. So when I do my feature tonight, I'm going to do probably about 14-minute set like Finn as well. So we're all about to give it our gusto. And I think David has the next person who's going to be reading poetry on the show. David, who's the next up for bids?
Next person up is someone who I really have a lot of respect for. Henry Jones is his name, and he's poet laureate in Hendersonville, correct? Yes, that's awesome. That's a really awesome thing, and I really like Henry because I've been reading and writing poetry for a long time, but as far as putting together something like this, he's always really helpful on giving me ideas on like how to do it most effectively and stuff. And I take his thoughts and suggestions greatly under consideration, and it's really always helpful. And you can learn a lot from Henry, and he's also an amazing artist. He does some really interesting. I would consider. I mean, I don't know what it would be considered, but like I would almost consider it like surreal and abstract, I guess.
That's a pretty good comparison, yeah. Because I kind of tip into both realms of that surrealism. And well, surrealism is a type of abstraction, but yeah. But I'm happy to be back. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying I just love his art because it always has very strong colors and it's very distinct. It's very if I were to go through a gallery with a bunch of different pieces, I think that his art would kind of distract me a little bit more than the others because of just the rich use of colors. I love it. So, yeah. But anyways, Henry Jones, thank you.
I may interject 1 second. He's had a lot of showings. So if you're wanting some good art, Henry L. Jones is not only a poet, he's a painter. He's in my mind, a philosopher, because I've never been offered poet laureate, and I'm glad to see somebody got poet laureate, because we've had Marilyn Callett on the show. Now we got Henry on here, and he inspires us to know that as a poet, you can reach that destination. And if I ever become poet laureate, Henry, I'll message you, and I'll probably 10,000 other people. But I like how you carry your position. You talk to the people, you show them inspirational verse, and it moves them. And I think that is the most important thing that an artist of that genre can do. Okay, that's all.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. David, you are a new friend. We met and had good discussions. Brian, I've known you a while, and Francesca's probably one of my oldest friends. We reconnected and in different circles. And I was like, wait a minute, I know you, because I don't forget faces and things. And Finn, we've recited and read on different Zoom channels. He's another good friend. And when I put out the notice that about this feature, Finn said, I'll be there. And I was like, yes, because it's been a while. And but it's good to connect with people and share ideas. When growing up, hearing about poets and reading books even today, I used to have this romantic notion because you'd hear of poets in different countries and they'd sit at bistro tables with each other and sharing thoughts and poems and smoking like Brian's there, and you know, and I said, wow, I'd love to become like an expatriate and run to Paris, Langston Hughes and James Baldwin and numerous others, historical writers and painters and things. But, you know, the world has changed. We're dealing with a lot of stuff now, so we make the best, but we can come together with something like this, which is wonderful. But I've met a lot of wonderful people through the electronic age. I'm going to share tonight some old ones, just a few, and then some new stuff. The new poems, most of the new poems I'm reciting tonight are in my second book, which is due to come out in October. This has been placed on hold, partly because of me, just juggling so many things. And I was contacted about being on an author's panel. And the coordinator said, well, do you have your new book ready? I was like, no, it'll be a while. She said, well, can it be ready? And I thought to myself, it's time. I'm going to make it ready. Because sometimes you can put things on the back burner and you look up what you thought you'd say, oh, give myself another week, month. You'll look up and another year or two have passed. So you got to kind of grab those dreams and keep going with it. So that's what I've been doing. Getting tired, but I'm getting it done. I think you all are going to love this second book. My first book, Run Into Blackness, I have set it up for reprint. So I'm doing this double Dutch thing. There's a third book that I'm involved in that some of you have heard. Francesca's in it. It's an anthology, and Finn, sorry. It's an anthology, Sin You, 10 Years at Poetry at the Brew. I'm one of the editors, along with Christine Hall and Joe Collins. So that's going to be dynamite. We're going to have a book release party August the 24th in person. Let's cross our fingers and toes because we see that we may be masking up and some other terrible things. We're going to push forward and say in person. That will be televised. People such as Finn and other people abroad who are involved. We're going to also have an online book release party. So we're going to make sure that we bring people together and share that moment. All right. The first poem from Run Into Blackness. Every time I'm about to read, I wonder, how should I start? And I've said this before, and it's become somewhat redundant, but I said, you know, I should always start with love. Because some of you know I write poems that really hit hard. So certain social issues and things. But I have written love poems because I've been in love numerous times. I'm very romantic, and, you know, I'm like, oh my God, look at her eyes. And, you know, but this first poem is titled The Baptism. You brought me hope and made me want to dance, to sing, to love again. Your libations flowed over me like an ocean, rushing on a dry shore. You see, I was a shell, thrown aside, echoing the sounds of my fears and loneliness, a song, cold and empty. But today, with the sun's warmth and your love, I'm filled with your water, baptized, renewed, I live again. This next poem is titled Write Then Make Love. Found myself sitting by the bed writing poetry about a Black woman, big-eyed sister, curves and nerves, who spoke up when needed and not afraid to eat greens or watermelon, who swears she's not a myth. Wish I could be for real, but when the dreams seem like the reality, I spend more time with my eyes closed, just remembering than trying to imagine every word spoken. If I could remember and I'd believe and stop listening to the gin telling me what Brandy lied about. That used to be one of my sipping drinks, Brandy. This next poem is titled The Smell of Love. Sometimes when children, or it doesn't have to be a child, but you leave home, you go out into the world and you experience things and you say to yourself, you come back for a visit. And of course, based on who you met, what you've experienced, you're a changed person. You know how they say travel broadens the mind and all that. And this poem was inspired from a story that I was told from a friend where her child left, went to college, and after the freshman year, came back as this sophisticated woman, so she thought. And I'd heard things like that. So this poem was from that story. The Smell of Love. Sold my words for kisses, got no change, just your crusty, dry lips, which blew powder down my throat. I choked on brandy lies. We tried to dance, but fell to our knees, drunk. From swallowing too many pages of shame and sorrow, poetry that only knew the bump, couldn't dance nothing else. Hips too slow, lips burnt and stale, but too fast to keep up, lips too hungry. Child starving, eat the pork and bone, no revolution, blind solution. Mixed in with the greens, feeding your bones before you heard anything about Malcolm or Garvey. Now mama ain't good enough to hug, she stinks, smells of kitchen cooked food, and you think she's lazy because no BS follows her name. But she knows enough to know your BS is BS. Because a few books and quotes made you forget your mind. A few smiling boys and cold bottles of unmarked pills, or Lord knows what else, made you forget to keep your legs closed and pigtails neat. Once you wanted candy, now you want change. Can't wait for supper, still slamming your spoon down, though her greens too salty and greasy, eating calories of attention deficit, sprinkled the same impatient child. You can't cook to feed your children, but you can scream for change. You think mama's deaf, she can't hear you, 'cause she still hears her dead kinfolks crying. Their echoes drown your quotes and philosophy out. She rocks holding herself and listens. She knows what you want, love. What you've wanted since 13. She was 13 tall with hips once too. Movie love peeled from the screen, run to the hero and collapse. You wanted love. So much you smelled the funk of sweaty cracks and musty armpits and believed it was love. Promise yourself if you made love hard enough, long enough, wild enough, wet enough, you change him and the world. He remained just that. Your mama called him. The world still waits for your love. Then your mighty legs jumped out of bed to write a poem, writing by moonlight, a silhouette pitched from its gleam, as though that convinced him to comb his head before kissing you goodnight. He ain't even from around here. Rode in from Mississippi on the Greyhound. Granny paid the fare to send him away, but found you and introduced you to his tongue. You tasted it and laughed as it tickled. Secret valleys and sweet fruit, you wrote a poem and read on your thighs to remember each month why you loved him. Bring the feeling back when old and tired. Relieve the arthritic twists with a bony finger, toned in a hip ride of lusts from the past. Later, you still feel the emptiness. Forgot his face, maybe not that tongue. Where's the change? At least a few coins would help. To catch the bus perhaps to the river, to find him floating on, then smiling lips that once covered your youth with twitches. There's no change. because you never learned how to cook your mama's greens. Never wanted to learn her BS because your BS was real. Your change won't buy a loaf of bread or medicine. What happened to your freedom books? Are they nothing but border porn and mock parades about the youth when you finally realize the odor wasn't love, not that smell, just the stench of a washcloth when you tried to wipe the funk of many years away. Smell of love. So, and you know, that happens. You get in the world, you find someone mesmerized, something different is not always better. This is from one of the poems from my new book. It is titled Black Skillet Blues, Poetry Without Cornbread. First poem is Loneliness Stirred. Rationed passions, the stagnant river, wanting the pull of the moon. Awaiting currents, the stale tears become the froth of hot lust. Whispered moon moans, the echoed songs, serenade the darkness in your room. Trembling flesh, the unleashed streams touching the shore of your loneliness. Next poem is titled Dream Storm. There's a lot of symbolism that comes through dreams and messages, I believe. My memories join together as one long dream. Each night it's replayed like an old movie, showing familiar faces and lines completed in mid-sentence. I know the story like my name, but unable to find myself in any of the characters. I watch closely, scene after scene, looking for unnoticed clues, perhaps cryptic messages sent, having prophetic meaning to discover the symbolism of what those echoed moments of why they kept returning until finally I awoke, sweating from the long night. My pillows wet and cool, like a calm, sleeping lover, faint breaths of the little death, scenting the morning with our dew. But this moisture misted from me, a phantom storm release. It cast shadows of the real world, flooding the salty crud of my closed eyes shut, making mortar for the cinder block walls between reality and dreams, walls which form a dam, holding back old tears and trapped fears. Maybe this is why my bed was wet, not a lonely, quiet storm, but the lightning igniting and welding my thoughts together to show me what I keep missing when I rise each day, becoming anew, like from a long, drunken baptism to release old sins. This next poem is titled, I Know Your Tears. It was mentioned about artwork. I was in a show back in February at Centennial Art Center, and the artwork that I showed, I had corresponding poems, and this is one of them. That show was about Black history. I know your tears. Alone the nights surround you. Silence resounds, zen mocking the night with this nothingness, which seems a part of you, because you heard you ain't nothing for so many years. As you hear that voice over and over in your head and heart, where you want to run away and become something, which hears the nothingness, where you were taught to sit and just be silent in tears. Now you can feel nothing. Now you know you're nothing. And you won't try nothing except being silent. But the garden calls you, to awaken the lost songs of memories flowing still from the lips of your ancestors to your frightened ears, awaiting the echoes which want to fill your head and lead you back to the path, surrounded by creation, a garden awaiting you, to reconnect with the seeds left behind for you to grow and move so strongly. Yes, I know your tears, which filled the oceans and became waves as your voice resonates with the pull of the moon. Just believe in you again, pulling on the ebb and flow like the silence of night, which seems and seeks to know your tears. I know your tears. This is an old short one I came across when looking for another poem. And I was like, wow. Some of the poems, I really wish I dated them because I can kind of reference in my life what was going on. Dreams. Dreams are like butterflies, colorful and easy to see, yet so difficult to catch and hold. I spoke of love because at times we lose love. I published a poem that I'm including in the book that was part of a journal that was accepted for publications, the 2020 Czech Republic. And poets for the journal had a project where it matched up photography of the Czech Republic with various poets. And I saw this photograph of a man, old man, standing on the second story building. The stoneware it reminded me of a castle. And there he was on the second story, just looking out the window with this stare. And from the surface, I saw an old man on a second story window looking out a window. And I was like, what can I write about that, you know? But then I noticed on his face, he had that look like when you see a friend and say, well, hey, how's it going? You know, what's going on? And they tell you, oh, everything's fine. But because you know that person, you see the look on that person's face and you know there's something not quite right. They're not telling me this. Maybe they don't want to talk about it, but there's something going on. And there I was staring into that man's eyes. And then I let my imagination work into the project, where I envisioned myself going into the building, walking upstairs, knocking on the door and asking, hey, what's going on? You know, and then he told me his life, what happened, and why he had that look on his face. And this poem was the inspiration for that imagined story. It's titled, I Am Still Searching for You. Where are you, my love? Again, I stand here looking up and down into the streets, searching for your face amongst the crowds of people passing like a flowing stream. I stare while counting heads, hoping one was your crown, glistening along the currents to eventually rise up for air, to see me along the shore and reach for one of my hands. My fingers grasping the windowsill, instead of you, there's rotten wood, covered with the chipped lead paint, releasing flakes drifting to the road where lovers embrace each other to prevent falling back into loneliness. The same desolation I know too well, while my probing eyes become tired, hoping to see you again if I keep watch. Until back in each other's warm arms, holding our love beyond the fears, twisting our hearts of their bitterness, leaving a sweetness found in the curved rations of our passions where we clung, until the years of emptiness were released, filling us with only our love to overflow, drowning and floating as the wind blows our echoed moans through the panes. This is why I still want to find you, my love. At this glassy portal to our joyful memories, now a black hole eclipsing the sunny days, preventing rays to refract your crystal vase, overflowing with broken lilies holding on, and a stench of old water smelling like death. I know you're still alive out there somewhere. They lied to me and tried to comfort me with cold prayers like the stones of this building, rocks to remind me again of the marble pillar with your engraved name to find you below, covered in layers of dirt instead of my kisses. You are coming any day down that path soon. I know it's true because I found your smile on the face of a young woman holding flowers, her fists clutched hairy roots swaying, seeking to taste cool water to live again, thirsty like we were before we found our love. This is why I stand here 35 years later, longing for your fingers to caress my lips, to silence my mind of worrisome thoughts about this world now so empty without you, fighting along to hold on each day to life. So I am still searching for you, my love. How am I doing for time? I didn't see the start time.
You're doing great for time. That is amazing poetry. Do not stop.
Thank you. This poem is titled.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. I just maybe about if we read for about 15 minutes, I think that's good. I think that we're still good on time though. So thank you.
Okay. All right. In passing along this way, we're vague echoes of our bodies. We float in while passing each other on streets, in parks, in groups, hoping to touch each other and know our hazy selves, much like fog, is enough substance to make us feel real and less empty inside and alive. So we reach to touch each other and believe. I have this whole thing where even in my artwork, you know, you've seen the various paintings with people reaching out, and you know, the whole COVID-19 thing hit me hard in terms of not being able to touch people, because I'm a hugger. And, you know, when I see people, I love hugging people because you have to embrace the moment, and I think that is one thing that is the true way of communicating. When we touch each other, you can go to another country. You may not be able to speak the language, but if you hug someone and you touch someone, you can communicate a lot. Lovers are able to talk to each other without not saying a word, you know, and there's just a level of nonverbal communication that sometimes becomes more powerful. And I picked up on that. When I was a child, I used to stare at people and then be thumped in the head for doing that. But I would just be watching people and the way they interacted. And I still do that as an adult because I just like studying people and seeing how we are as human beings. This poem is titled, I Reach. I reach toward the sky, pulling and throwing myself in all directions. The stars await beyond the sun's glares of day and dull shadows, blocking my true path and journey. With a storm of colors, my eyes blurred by the chaos surrounding and trying to fill me. But I keep reaching up. For the past of distant lights, I see them in my heady eye of spiritual glow, bumped by the ancestors' chants. Find your way through the stars, they shout, guiding me safely. I see beyond the chaos. My path is clear. I follow unhesitating. I know they're waiting for me. wanting to touch my fingers like a lover's embracing hand, seeking that gentle moment of contact, which means you are now in the right place next to me forever. The Reach. I'm an asthmatic and I became COVID positive along with my wife, and it was hell. It was hell. Fortunately, we did not have to go to the hospital, but it was rough, very rough. I started to write some poems about that. I had 3 incidents in my life where I went to the emergency room and I thought, oh my God, this is the way I'm going to die. I can't breathe. And it's a very frightening thing when you're moving your chest and you cannot get air inside and you feel your flesh turning cold. It's very frightening. And I'm thankful that we have medicines and we have technology to keep people alive when they're in distress like that. Because people do die from asthma. This poem is titled Burning Inside. Of course, it's one of those poems about that feeling. My throat burns when I inhale, mocking the winds of hell, breezes of a hot oven in my face, which leaves me breathless, wanting only a cool relief. My eyes release slow tears when my chest rises and falls, wondering if the motion slow becomes powerless and just stop with death floating in silence. My head throbs from thinking while counting the breaths, trying to meditate, regulate the shallow streams of air, feeding my mind with peace. My heart races too quickly, echoing in my head, thumping, thumping, thumping beats of a drum calling for help. Slow down, the reapers hears it, wanting to snatch me away. My back feels the sharp pains, needing to crack away oldness. That spot, no, twist seems to help. Yoga moves unlock stiff joints, orchestra of cracking sounds. My mouth seeks a tasteful dew, calling for a gentle rain to fall, then throw my head back in it, open my mouth to catch a few drops, swallowing a soothing fountain. Now I can say, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. This next poem was written for a Earth Day event that was held in Nashville, 2018 or 19. And you remember before the whole pandemic situation, our focus was our environment. And everyone was concerned about that. And it really hasn't gone away in terms of those concerns. So here, this piece touched on that. It's written back then when that's what our focus was. It's titled Earth Mother. Earth Mother, overheating, burning to cleanse the soil of rot, releasing nitrogen and heat for seeds, stopping the blaze, the many blazes of wildflower fires, because we humans don't understand her many starving acres await nourishment, providing beds of new plants to grow. Earth Mother feeling empty, collapse with sinkholes to hell, filling the body with our toys, shaking our hard, greedy heads because we humans don't understand. We can't keep digging for profit without karma's wrath or an enema. Earth Mother singing, pulled by the winds of the moon, releasing waves to consume cities, building along the beautiful shores, because we humans don't understand shorelines vanishing with each season, forming new water worlds rising. Earth Mother trembling, stomping along the cracks, trailing back in time to ancient days when we respected nature's role, because we humans don't understand. Now we try to control and beat her. We want her to submit to us while smiling, reflecting on ourselves with false pride. Earth Mother freezing, crying icicles reaching to the ground, falling from her grieving face in the cold. We want her tight, warm hugs of spring because we don't understand the needed balance of damage of nature, denying climate change, moving faster. Earth Mother helping, hoping we quickly hear her voice. Whirls of tornado flocks flying by, shattering our cities and homes because we humans don't understand. Our deaf ears ignore her pleads to us, screaming tantrums to notice what awaits. Earth Mother weakening, waiting for us to come by her bedside, waving us to come near and listen, please. Whispering, I'm not dying, my children, because we humans don't understand. She existed millions of years before us, realizing now the balance, the imbalance, which may kill us and not her. And one more, and I am done, and I've enjoyed this, seeing everyone. It's titled Comfort. And this poem, it's that universal need for comfort, and especially now when we're dealing with grief, a lot of sadness. I've seen a lot of death when growing up, and I've written a lot of poems, I noticed, about death and grief and so forth. And I challenged myself to write a poem, I guess, which condensed a lot of feelings. And this poem was from helping a friend who was dealing with grief. And I find that a lot of times in my life, there's certain situations, events, moments where I am guided or placed in. I meet certain people, and then there might be something that I'm to know, or that person's to know, or to experience and share. And I think that is the most powerful thing to happen. The most powerful thing to happen in living. We go through life wondering, what's my purpose? Why am I here? What am I supposed to do in life? You know, some of us go to certain jobs or set a certain figure, a certain amount of money, and say, if I get this amount, I'll be happy. Get this type of house, so on and so on and so on. But I think the bottom line is for us to exchange our experiences and lives, and then experience life, because all those other things are really toys. You know, we have to be secure in terms of eating, sleeping, shelter, etc. But that's why when we discover really old dwellings, we see that a lot of humans exchange a lot of stories with each other. And that's what we are, essentially storytellers. So when the aliens come and say, hey, how are y'all doing? We've been here. We need to be able to maybe tell some stories to them or something, you know, and vice versa, and not blow them up. Comfort. I embraced her, kissed her tears, drenching my lips and the pillow, then held her to rock her to sleep, calm the grief, hoping her pain faded soon. Thank you very much for this evening, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. It's amazing to listen to all this great poetry. I just sat back and just took it all in.
Yeah, this has been a treat. I always love it when you come on our show so much.
I just listen and go, another poem, please. You know.
We appreciate it. Well,
So David, who do we want to bring on next?
next up is Finn Hall. Finn, I just met you tonight, so nice to meet you. I'm if I didn't already say it, I'm David Kosi. It's really awesome to see you here. To my understanding, you do you host another show or something like that, or just participate quite a bit?
No, no, I do. I host. It was every 3 weeks. It's now a live thing starting. It's got to be like once a month. It's the first Sunday of every month, and it's called Like a Block from the Blue. And it literally usually has, I don't know, 40 odd open mic spots, and it's quite often a feature spot. I tend not to keep track of time, people, because when I say people, right, 15 minutes. I think Henry's one of the video was like 35 minutes when he was featured spotlight, but it was utterly wonderful for that. Like, it's just a great place to do. I do that, and I make movies. I make poetry. I've made 2 poetry movies. I have a book out. I have an ongoing collaborative project called Joined Up Writing, which John and Francesca's both contributed to. It started last May, year past May, where each person writes a different verse, taking the prompt of the last line in the previous verse. And there's got 2 books out there, both called Joined Up Writing, and they're on Amazon. And I was going to stop at this one, but I've got 70 people waiting to go the 3rd one undergo. So that's getting started next week as well. So I'm always doing some shit or something like, and working. So, okay, I've got to stand up for mine. I take to the stage, eyes filled with rage and then despair. I'm going to cry until the skin wears away from my face. I'm going to cry until the tears don't look out of place. Don't say that I can't just because I'm a man. I love you so much that it hurts to be alone in this world without you beside me. I'm lonely. It's you that I miss, you and you only. I haven't mastered yet the art of living alone, and I'm glad that I don't have a phone, because every time it rang, I think it was you. I miss your smile, a smile that would clear the clouds from the sky and the grass would grow lush and green. Children laugh so cheerfully. I've got calm and serene. When you smiled, the gods relaxed their icy grips, and life glistened as though it was the first day of spring. Rivers flowed so bright and sparkling when you smiled. I miss your tears. That when you cried, the lambs lay down to rest, and the buds curled up as if to die, and weedy willows hung low and seemed to sigh. When you cried, then you'd laugh, and summer would start its shining glow, and the sky would turn blue and bright. Always day, never night. You'll laugh. But now, my days are empty, and happiness deserts me, and solitude encapsulates my whole, my soul, my every day, my every day. My tears fall on deaf ears. I wear hearing aids, and I'm what they call profoundly deaf. I hear, but sometimes I have difficulty picking out the actual words that people say. I find it hard sometimes to catch all the words that my fellow poets are saying when they do their reading. I wish the world came with subtitles. It's bad in my taxi with masks in the screen between me and my passengers to get them to speak clearly and give me their destination. I wish the world came with subtitles. I mean, watching TV is great when the programs have closed captions, but I hate it when they don't, or some on-demand shows don't, or when the words are behind the actual audio, I wish the world came with subtitles. In this constantly masked off world, concessions are made for many, but city centres are blocked off for disabled people, and deaf people can get out but can't see what you're saying. I wish the world came with subtitles. I play my music too loud and my radio goes on too loud. My podcasts go on too loud. I'm not too proud if you ask me to turn it down. I don't know. I don't realize. I can't be sure how it sounds to you. I know how it sounds to me, loud, but not too. I wish the world came with subtitles. I mean, hearing aids aren't perfect. They don't make things normal. They help. I'm not ignoring you. Your words are important, very important. It's just, well, I can't explain, which is strange for one who uses words to make a point. Tell a story, I'll let you know. I'm sorry. I wish the world came with subtitles. I take them out, almost silent, can barely hear the washing machine, the noisy washing machine when I'm in the kitchen beside it, the morning alarm. It rings for ages, disturbing my wife, waking up when she doesn't need to be awake. I don't hear it until it gradually gets louder. I wish the world came with subtitles. I wasn't born this way. It's hereditary. My grandma, my father's side, then my dad, but he never went and seen about it. Then me. Now my daughter. My grandma's head was big and hung on a strap beneath her top. It squeaked feedback if you went too close. You had to speak into the box at the times to be heard in a world before subtitles. I do sometimes enjoy the silence, switching mine off or taking them out and being alone in my head. Enjoy the silence of being at one with me. Then I still need to know when I get shouted down for tea. And yes, I realize that I should check to see if the volume on my phone is up. But wouldn't it be great if the world came with subtitles? Floating in the air, words destined for only the people they are meant for. Or flick an imaginary switch and you can see everybody's words floating, soaring, shouting, swearing, counting, caring, perfect for finding words for a found poem. The silence of constant chatter in a world where words do matter. Choose your font, choose your language, hit translate. What was that? Too late. Your words escaped in the breeze to hide amongst the trees. A world not perfect, but with subtitles. Another word. I never do trigger warnings. It's not my style. I was young, a young boy, maybe 13, maybe 14, too long ago to remember. But I remember he looked like Bamber Gascoigne. At least I think he did. I was in the cinema, the Odeon, I think, alone. I like being alone. I have no idea what the film was, even though I saw it to the end. I was young. I was shy. I was scared. He sat next to me. At that time, the cinemas weren't like they are today. No multi-screen, but still Pearl and Dean and ladies selling ice cream from trays. He took my hand, my shy young hand, in his hand and put it where my hand should not be, should not go. What he does with his hand is his affair. I didn't want to, didn't need to share, but I was aware that my hand should not be there. I pulled away after, well, I have no idea how long. It wasn't long, although it probably felt forever. I got up and moved away, hurried away, scurried away. I was shy, I was scared, but I knew I should be there. And he shouldn't be there. He shouldn't be doing that to me, to anybody. I sat in the back in the dark, too afraid to leave. So I waited until the end. Then I left with the crowd, the silence so loud. I fled into the night. I ran down Main Street, halfway down Main Street. Main Street is a mile long. I ran for my bus, sat upstairs in the bus, still scared, still aware, but looking round. I got home, safe, but not sound, and got off the bus, went straight to my room, still scared, still shy, but did I cry? I don't know. It was long ago. I know, though. I looked out the window through curtains half shut to see if he followed. Got off the next bus. He didn't. Another one after that. I was safe in the flat. So I must have gone to bed and buried it in my head, forgetting the pain, but not feeling shame. I was never to blame. It's a fact, not a claim, but my hand is my hand. His hand is his hand, and his hand should have been nowhere near mine. And we need to talk about this. You know, I'm talking to myself, I'm chatting in my head, asking what my thoughts are. Are they filled with joy and dread? Conversation with my expectations, analyzing the situation, crossing out the contemplations, wondering if I have any reservation, or is it an excuse for procrastination, a reason for contention, keeping sharp for the duration, continuing my education. So glad of your salutations. But I don't take that as citation that I live above my station. There's always a realization that my mind is a vocation and I still don't know the causation, how it becomes formation. And if you take my brain out until it forms a citation, will you find filiation with some of my relations? I am unaware of any orations from older generations through paternal or cognation, either written or narration, poetic prose or oral striation. So I will cease the examination and mental jactation, because endless mentiation and needless deliation won't solve the rhyme's formation. And just accept that sometimes things happen. This happened. At times, love dies. For reasons unknown, love dies. But if we love someone enough, can we stop them dying? We hold them so much in our hearts, the hearts that beat in synchronized time. Accept that words aren't always needed, that the shared air we breathe is enough to be in the same room, the same space, the same time as each other, traveling the same journey. I am happy to be shipwrecked on your shores, to be the flotsam and jetsam of your life, keeping my head above the waterline in your vision, to know that we're always in reach of each other. Always traveling on an inspirational adventure together, always floating in the same waves. But what if we drifted apart? Still in love, but just out of reach of each other, lifesavers hiding in the mist, fingers grasping, arms outstretching, reaching. Then beached up, face down in the sands of time, gasping for air, wanting to share the air with you, cast away, far away, away you are, so far. And all I have is the memory and the comfort of still loving you, even though your physical presence is no longer around. But at least I have you still in my beating heart, a heart that once beat in time, in rhyme with yours. Now all that is around me and all here that surrounds me are sequins, glitter and regret that we had unfinished plans, a land still to see and places to be. At times, love dies. For reasons unknown, love dies. And I held you in my arms as you died. And now I hold you forever in my heart, and my heart will beat for the two of us. Let her be. She was just walking home, just nothing else. Her alone, as she had a right to be, as every person has a right to do, to walk alone, unafraid, as she had every right to do. Why should this be in this century that she shouldn't have that right to walk alone day or night without the fear that someone could deprive her of that, right? Don't say to me that not all men, when it should be not any, not one, she has the right to walk alone. the right to dress as she sees fit without some male hypocrite expressing self-entitlement. It's time to show enlightenment, time to teach our sons to care and think about the world out there. If it's possible, cross the road or slow down so you're further back. Wear something light, not so black. Don't let her be afraid. Even though you are no risk, she should be safe to walk alone, unworried, unconcerned, alone, or with her friends. I mean, don't hide your face. Don't hunch your back. Don't let her think you may attack. Don't be complacent. Be aware that although you're fine, she may be scared. She was just walking home, but now she can't walk anywhere because of one man. And don't say to me, not all men, because I will say again, it should be not any, not one. She has the right to just walk home alone and unafraid. And final thoughts. We are but dust, galactic dust heading for the end as we circle round and round and round the sun burning out our lives as we destroy the ground we live on, fueled by greed, convincing ourselves that we need to dig more holes, blow up more rocks, pollute more seas, destroy, destroy, destroy. In a world where profit is the profit, where no lives matter apart from shareholders who are beholden to the profit, creating more destruction in the flaming sphere, because when it burns out, when the last flicker of flame is extinguished, we will not be here to notice. By we, I don't mean you or I don't mean our children, maybe not theirs. But the sun will have been shining on our empty, desolate planet, our once green and beautiful globe, the place that gave us life, the planet that mankind destroyed, long after we've gone, until it has finally run its course and burnt out, leaving the galaxy dead and barren. And even if we have migrated to Mars or anywhere else, the result in the end will be the same. All gone. We are but dust, galactic dust. Thank you.
Thank you. That was really good.
That was great.
I mean, I was inspired by this. Tonight has been amazing. You and Henry, I would give you guys 3 hours if you ever wanted it. Just make it a great special. Hey, speaking of great poets, Christopher T. George was not able to be here tonight, but I sent a video to David on Facebook. This could be a brief pause, but if you could possibly run that video that I sent you of Christopher T. George, I'd be very happy to have him read before me.
Is the new person?
Okay. Well, next up we have D. Allen.
Okay.
I believe. If that's, let me double check the set list, but I think D. Allen's next.
All right.
New lady.
D. Allen is new.
Okay.
Yeah, bring on D. Allen.
Yeah,
I'm really- I've been chatting with her in the group, and she's really interesting. She's from California.
Hey, it's a he.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. He has been. There
Okay,
you
this will be an edit.
go. When you assume it makes out of you and me, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. My bad. Thank you very much. Anyways, D, you're from California. Would you like to tell us something about yourself?
Yeah.
Hi. How are you?
For one thing,
right.
my pronouns are he, him, his.
Understood. Thank you very
Very
much.
sorry about that, sir.
Apologies for my.
No worries. I get that all the time when I go into new places.
Right on. Cool. Well, nice to meet.
So I know only maybe 3 or 4 people here, but for the rest of y'all, allow me to introduce myself to you properly. I'm D. Allen from Oakland, California, traditional land of the Ohlone Nation, and I'm only going to be doing 2 poems for you tonight, just to make it fair for everybody else to jump in on this open mic.
Well, actually, we've been kind of letting it go a little bit. So if you have a few pieces you want to lay out there, man, you can bring them on.
I'll throw in one more piece
All right.
Thank you, sir.
for your trouble.
And
But I don't want to bore, annoy, or frighten anybody.
I
with
don't
this
feel like you would,
performance.
honestly. Uh, we're thankful that you're here, and I just wanted to let you know that like if you want, we're gonna have like what we do is we have this show. It's what I'm gonna do this month. I think is I'm gonna put this show out as is. I may edit just a little bit for pauses or something, but besides that, but if you want, I can take your poetry and I can put it in what we have. It's kind of like a MTV or Saturday Night Live style show, but it's not like necessarily funny. It's just like a compilation of music videos and people speaking and stuff like that. All just it's just like one thing after another. And Brian's the host for that show, and I'd love for you to be on one of those compilation shows if you would like.
All right, I'm down for that.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right.
And to assist me in this endeavor, I'm going to use the share screen. I'm going to use the share screen feature if Mr. Cozy will let me use it.
Yes, sir. I'll set it up. Thank you. Okay, here we go.
All right. The 3 poems I'm about to do for you tonight come from my 5th book, Eloi Onichi, Poems, 2013 to 2018, released Earth Day 2020. And you see this little guy that's on the screen right now? The first poem happens to be an ode to him. And this is from section 2 of the book entitled Beauty of Nature. From pages 34 and 35, this is called Totem. From a long black cord surrounding my neck, I carry my strength. Smooth carved apple coral, blood red stone totem. Crawling bear facing the east, sky blue lifeline, points to the western edge of creation. Area he defends throughout the year, then he hibernates and dreams during winter. What the bear seeks is medicine. What the bear finds is medicine. What the bear eats is medicine. What the bear exudes is medicine, meant for our withstanding the chaos. Cave-dwelling woodland animal, spirit sacred to the Zuni, the Anasazi, Yona Navwadi, bear medicine to the Chalagi, better known as the Cherokee Indians. The beast that walks firmly on 4 legs or 2, like a man, best represents internal strength I could use, worn as an outer totem around my neck. And that first poem was called Totem, which happens to be an ode to this little guy here, dangling from a black cord. This is the stone-carved, blood-red bear totem that I mentioned in the poem. And this was given to me as a gift from a fellow poet from San Francisco and a good friend by the name of Richard Sanderell, better known locally as the Cursive Writer. He went to a Native American powwow in Arizona about 5 years ago, around this time. And when he came back to San Francisco, he came back with several of these. Gave me this one, this little symbol on a black cord that represents the inner strength that lies in every one of us, men, women, and other. The inner strength that comes from our woodland friend, the bear. And as a side note, Richard Sanderell passed away on the morning of May 4th, 2021. He was 75 years old and he was recovering in a bed at a hospice in San Francisco, recovering from a stroke that disabled activity from one side of his body. And he's one of the few people, the extreme few people on this planet that I consider my friend. Rest in peace, Richard. And this next poem also comes from Eloi Onichi. This picture on the screen, everybody who lives in the continental United States knows exactly where this is. And it is one of Arizona's best green areas. And the poem inspired by it comes from section 3 of the book entitled Travels Through Nature. And this poem is one page, mercifully short. Based on actual events, this is called the Grand Canyon. I knew I'd become part of something grand the moment I disembarked the tour bus, ran across a parking lot, trying to outrace a rain shower. It ended as soon as it began. I watched my final destination stretched out before me. Intermittent rainfall, wind, the failure of slopes, the mighty Colorado River. Over 500 aeons molded deep furrows, jagged buttes, time-sharpened mesas, widen an 18-mile rift across this island earth. Mother Nature is quite the accomplished sculptress. From the eastern rim, sand-caked limestone cliff where I stood, I couldn't see the Colorado River force itself past towering walls, exposed layers of minerals. A steam-powered train from Williams, Arizona brought me to the south rim. Then the full tour bus transported me to where the air had a vanilla scent around ponderosa pines and trotting elks, the chasm of my fifth grade dreams. I knew I'd become part of something grand the moment I confronted that canyon. And that poem was called The Grand Canyon, a poem inspired by a trip that I took out to Arizona back in the summer of 2016. It was basically a recollection of me fulfilling a boyhood dream I've had since the age of 11. Since that day in one of my classes in fifth grade of watching the teacher show slides of different parts of the southwestern USA. And one of those slides happened to be the Grand Canyon. When I saw that on the screen, I pointed to it and thought, someday I'll go there. And then finally, 37 years later, at the age of 48, I was finally there. And if you've never been to the Grand Canyon a day in your life, when this coronavirus pandemic is truly over, take a trip out there, y'all. Take a trip out to the Grand Canyon. It's one of those green areas and a holiday you will never forget. And the last poem is going to be a little bit on a more somber tip. Yeah, and I remember that last show that he did. I was there. But I didn't know that it was going to be his last hosting an open mic. And I'm going to use the share screen feature one more time. And this sign is a visual cue for the last poem I'm about to do from Eloy Nietzsche. This comes from section 1 of the book entitled Harm to Nature. Based on actual events, this is called Pine Ridge, from pages 8 and 9. Pine Ridge, 1 in 7 parceled lands, after Washington, D.C. took away the Black Hills. Pasapa, Oglala Lakota were told that this was home. Pine Ridge, outdoor dance flow. Lakota moved with their ancestors' spirits in a circle, hoping the White Eyes would disappear. Pine Ridge, site of slaughter. The White Eyes hadn't disappeared. They rushed in, murderous intent. With rifles, they laid 300 low in Wounded Knee snow. Pine Ridge, stage of armed resistance. AIM, American Indian Movement, wanted puppet tribal corruption gone. For 71 days with shotguns, they'd shown the settler state that red men won't disappear. Pine Ridge, Valley of Despair. Once proud people now live in crumbling homes, impoverished, jobless, isolated, awash in beer bought in white clay. Hope disappears. Pine Ridge, studying historical trauma kept in mind for when native resistance to genocide reappears.
That was very good, man.
And that last poem was called Pine Ridge, written for Richard Sanderell back in 2015 as a birthday present.
So that's reading from a book you've published, pretty much.
Yeah, all three poems came from my fifth book, Eloi Onichi, now available for Conviction to Change Publishing.
How could somebody check out all your publications? Or different ones, or if you want to give a little rundown on how we can check your books out. I love your material. Very good, very concise, and love the pictures. I mean, amazing.
Without the pictures, no one would know what I was talking about.
I've had pieces like that where you need examples, but amazing stuff, man.
Thank you. And I'll put down the webpage link in Zoom chat for Eloi Onichi. And I've put out like 5 books so far, with 2 coming out, set to come out in February 2022, which is the first time in history that I've heard of any poet coming out with 2 books in the same month.
I'd say so, and I hope we can have you back on the show.
Okay.
Definitely, you're always welcome, because you'll see a lot of us coming back here, and we do the show. We have a good time, and reaching out to California is amazing too, because tonight we've reached very far, like California, Scotland, Cookville. I mean,
and you have
Hendersonville,
and you have one poet calling in from San Diego.
Yeah,
so it's California again.
Exactly. It's amazing.
Stay tuned for John Wessick. His poetry is hella funny.
Thanks.
From this mic to your ears, I'm D. Allen. Thanks for listening.
All right.
Thank you, D. I just want to say the link that you give us when I put the show, the entire show on our YouTube channel, I'll make sure that I post that link as well, so people can check your poetry on the YouTube video as well. Both the show that we're gonna have here, I'm gonna put the whole show on the YouTube channel, but I will also make like that music video conglomeration, and I'll make sure I put your links there as well. So all of you, thank you. That reminds me to let you know. Feel free to post your links in our chat, and I'll make sure that they go on the show when I post it. So thanks much. Okay, I guess after that we got, if you want Christopher George to go before you, Brian, I can.
Yeah, if you'll bring Christopher T. George's video up, I sent it to you on Facebook.
Yes, sir.
And pop him up there. This is Christopher T. George. He can't be here tonight. Christopher T. George is a world famous poet. He is amazing in so many ways. Author. I've had great conversations with him on the show here, and he can't be with us tonight, but he'll be back. But he sent this video in his place, and it's very good.
And he was in my last Boys movie as well. Christopher was a great spot in that too.
I love hearing his work because I can sit back and, much like yours, I love the diction that is in it. Like you feel like you're truly hearing poetry and feeling it, and yes. I admire that.
It's very engrossing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna get this ready.
I think
I hear it. We hear it.
Yes, it is. And I'm originally from Liverpool, but I live now in Delaware in the USA. Marky Mark Simmons' first poem about the snipers in Yemen brought to mind this poem of mine. It was written about a girl in Baghdad, not Baghdad, Istanbul, who was killed in a terrorist explosion. And afterwards, her elder sister wrote to me. To Shema Ozkan, at the explosion, she rushed to survey the havoc, craned from the balcony, despite her father's warning. The next blast shot shrapnel through her heart. A balcony should be for dreaming of sunsets, fountains, and gardens, and a young man who brings a gift of fragrant fruit in the morning sun. In hallowed beds, they lie before us in rank on rank of stones. Someone's father, mother, son, daughter, offspring who died young before their time. Some recalled in memory or in rhyme. Others who long outlived their kind. The rare few who died more than once. A violet ribbon tied to skeletal finger leads to a silver bell. She awaits the least response, but too late. There's no way back. The ferryman's departed. They lie head to foot and foot to head. Saints, sinners, and the merely dearly dead. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Chris. An excellent Fire and Dust debut, but very strong. Yeah, and again, touching on some important topics. So yeah, it's good to have some serious.
How are y'all doing?
Pretty good, man. This is a great show. It reminds me of the old open mics. You know, everybody brought all their material out. You had a good time, and I love hearing that. So, do we want to bring on the new poet that everybody speaks of?
All right. Actually, okay, John, would you like to go next, sir?
Yes, we like a new poet.
Of course. Thank you.
Tell us about yourself, sir, and I'd love to hear your material.
Well, see, I used to run a reading in San Diego for 8 years. I think moved to Boston maybe about 4 years ago, and I think I've been to something like 500 Zoom poetry readings in the past 18 months, and Wednesday is actually a very busy day for Zoom readings out here. I think we have like 3 overlapping readings in Boston, and there was another UK reading here earlier. So it seems like 500 Zoom readings just today. Since I have a little bit of time, I'm going to read you a story. The smoldering remains of Heartland Airways Flight 869 littered Clyde Parish's cornfield. Twisted aluminum, blackened sections of fuselage, and the remains of 2 jet engines had scattered over acres. Pictures of charred skulls, bits of floating rib, and a thigh bone with meat attached would never make it onto the 6 o'clock news. 30 minutes after takeoff, the Boeing 737 had plummeted from 20,000 feet and had plowed into the rich Indiana soil at over 500 miles per hour. The impact had sheared off the wings and ignited 5,000 gallons of jet fuel that had consumed all 63 aboard. 3 years ago, before he'd seen the high school football player's corpse in a red leather jacket with white vinyl sleeves on a snowy Pennsylvania hillside, Jack McNally would have walked among the debris to question the National Transportation Safety Board investigators combing the records. He'd seen dead bodies before, but the corpse's flat, questioning stare had troubled him for months afterward. Today, Jack stood at the road's edge and looked at one of the airplane's wheels. Its tire was still inflated. He wondered how it had come out of the fireball intact. Strange things happen when a plane crashes. At times, something fragile survives, like the music box he'd found when that Airbus went down in the Everglades. Jack had broken FAA rules by taking it home from the crash site. He'd given it to his daughter, Katie, as a good luck charm. The stench of kerosene, burning insulation, and incinerated flesh recalled other crashes. He'd always associate those smells with a late-night phone call and leaving the comfort of Judith's warm body for a red-eye flight to the latest tragedy. Jack slapped at a mosquito whining in his ear. He had to call Commissioner Nakamura at 10 with a status report. Jack looked up the road past the cluster of firemen and dirty yellow slickers to where a garden of microwave dishes sprouted from retractable antennas on the backs of news vans. Grant Kessler, the NTSB lead, stood with his hands in his pockets and yammered to some red-haired airhead in a short skirt who held a microphone to his face. He sure goes after the publicity, doesn't he? It should be you up there, Grace. You always work twice as hard as he did. Jack turned to the woman whose blonde hair hung in a thick plait over her navy blue nylon jacket. Sorry I didn't see. How you been? Good. The doctors say I'm doing well. How are Judith and Katie? Katie's looking forward to starting NYU in the fall. Jack glanced at his watch. Listen, I got to call Nakamura in a half hour. You have anything? Voice recorder was damaged in the crash. We still might get something from the tape fragments, but it'll take some time. Haven't found the black box. I'd say it'll take a few days before we know anything. Any guesses? Why? Grace crossed her arms. What's Nakamura saying? The usual. He's reluctant to ground the fleet, but doesn't want to look like he's putting the public at risk either. Don't worry about it. I'll tell him you don't know yet and let him figure out what to do. Grace straddled his torso and thrust her hips back and forth as if the force would chase away the day's memories. The motel bed springs squeaked to the rhythm of her forceful motions. Instinctively, Jack reached to cup her breasts. When his right hand brushed the thickened skin of her scar, he hesitated. She placed her warm hand over his and held it to her soft, injured flesh. The tickle in Jack's groin grew into a shudder of release. Grace arched her back. Her lips formed his name, Jack, without making a sound. She leaned forward to press her chest against his and touched her lips to his temple. After a few minutes, she got up and padded to the bathroom. Jack pulled a thin blanket to his chin and looked at the glowing blue numerals on the alarm clock. He and Grace would have to be back at the crash site in 3 hours. He thought of returning to his room, but knew he'd never sleep. The toilet flushed. Grace opened the bathroom door, throwing a wedge of light on the darkened room's carpet. She turned off the switch, returned to bed, and stretched out beside him. Jack held her like a life raft and fell asleep, stroking her familiar curves. The alarm's buzz woke him at 4:45. Guess I'd better get back to my room before our colleagues start roaming the halls. Jack stepped into his pants. The plastic wand attached to the room key stuck out from his front pocket. Grace walked him to the entryway. See you in an hour. She kissed him and softly closed the door. Jack stood for a moment and stared at the number on the door. Then he turned and walked down the blue carpeted hall to the stairwell. An hour later, eyes gritty from sleep, Jack cut a ride to the crash site with one of the NTSB workers. The reporters had already moved on to the next headline. Only the investigators and a few state policemen in wide-brimmed hats remained. Jack spent the morning watching workers lay down a grid using GPS receivers and catalog debris before hauling it away. By noon, he knew for certain he could contribute nothing. The investigation would plod at its methodical pace despite FAA's desire for answers. He called Commissioner Nakamura. Get some photos of the starboard engine before we load it on the truck, Grace said. She turned from the pale, skinny man, scribbled on her notepad, and looked up when Jack approached. Looks like you got everything under control, Jack said. I talked to Nakamura. He's made his decision. What's he going to do? He's grounding Heartland 737s, but letting the others keep flying. That's a no-brainer. Grace slipped the pen into her blouse pocket. Heartland has the worst maintenance record in the industry. When do you fly out? I'm on the next commuter to Indianapolis. I'll give you a ride to the airport. She led him to the rented tan Mercury Grand Marquis, slid behind the wheel, and reached across the seat to open the passenger door. Jack climbed in. Grace maneuvered the big boat-like car along the razor-straight country roads cut between the tall green cornstalk. Her canvas purse sat on the seat between them like an uneasy silence. To Jack, Grace looked self-contained, as if she only had to wait for everything she wanted to come to her. Jack kept his mouth shut. Any words he could say would only garble his complex feelings. He only nodded when Grace asked if he needed to return to the Best Western for his bag. It took 20 minutes to get to the airport. They sat together on hard orange fiberglass chairs in the waiting room. You ever think of giving this up? He asked. Maybe get a job with McDonnell Douglas or one of the airlines. You wouldn't be happy. Grace touched his forearm. We're different than them, Jack. For us, there's no going back. The roar of the Beech 1900's twin turboprop engines caused him to look out the window. The commuter plane parked at a yellow line on the pavement and killed its engines. The propellers slowed to a strobe-like speed and stopped. A man in hearing protectors and gray overalls opened the plane's door and pointed the passengers toward the terminal. You'd better go. Grace dropped her hand from his arm. Jack knew 1,000 ways for an airplane to fall from the sky, yet he trusted the pilots and mechanics to get him home, to his marriage and the pretense of security. Before he took the stairs to the runway, Jack turned to see Grace's steady stillness in the swirl of arriving passengers. He wiped his eyes on his sleeve and waved. Sometime soon they'd meet again. Good. I think that's good.
Hey, that was really good stuff, man. I like how you deliver. I was just saying to Pat that, man, everybody tonight has delivered amazing poetry. And the sad thing is I promised a feature and I have to follow all of you that read so great. But I'm going to try to give it my best.
All right.
And
thanks, everybody.
But,
and you can, my website's in the chat, and I've got links to all my books there. That one's called from a collection of short stories called "The Alchemist Grandson Changes His Name." It's out of print, but you can still get some copies on Amazon.
Oh, and definitely add on the Literature Cafe Global Facebook page anything you got about advertising your books, selling your books, because we actually tell people, yes, sell things on the page.
Oh,
because, you know, as an author or a musician, well, you're trying to sell your CD, your book, or whatever. It'd be nice to make a couple bucks off of it, because we have a CD called Unknown Sounds at the Groove right now. It's not a commercial. I love Pepsi. But at the Groove, we got 2 copies in there. I got to put some more in there. But yeah, if you have any products, we love you to push your product, because it'd be nice to see somebody make it, you know?
Okay.
You know?
Thanks.
But anyway, I guess I need no introduction, as I am a host. I'm going to do my little feature here. I'm going to audition for David here. And by the way, I hope everybody liked the title. Actually, I'm going to bring John on first. Oh, wait, I already just brought John on. What am I saying? Okay. There's an edit. Sorry, guys. So, everybody's names keeps popping up, and tonight we just had so much new, raw, amazing material.
Okay,
I love it, man.
Shetty. I've known him for quite some time. He's the one who started the Literature Cafe Global. I know he's like all concerned about following all these amazing artists, but I tell you what, he's excellent.
I enjoyed following everybody. Everything I heard was just really great poetry, and we've got new voices. So I think this pre-recorded live show is going to be really good. So remember, I'm going to add this so we can add it later in. Subscribe and do all that stuff that you see when you watch a YouTube, or we won't be successful. I
tell you what, Brian, his stuff is kind of, to me, kind of like a mix of like esoteric and postmodern kind of combining, which I think is,
Thank you.
I find it pretty thrilling. So,
well, the stuff I have tonight is a mixture of comedy and some serious, but some not. It's kind of in the entertainment bracket, parody. I don't know.
Kind of like the Hitchhiker's Guide to, I don't know,
non-reality, really,
or an alternate reality. Yeah.
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 Well, I was thinking about something. I was talking to a great poet, and I got to say hello to Ed Haggard, and I was just saying hello. How you doing? And I made a little joke when I was typing a message. I said, "Haven't got the big check yet, but still doing poetry." And I remembered that my father was always talking about getting the big check in the 70s. And we would go out, and he wanted to try out a van, but he didn't have the money to try a van out. He really had just a painter's salary of painting houses. So he wanted to drive the newest van. So he drags the whole family to the car lot, and they got the big old happy van, and you got to picture it. It's 70s colored. Dad's enthralled. And he goes up to him and says, "Yeah, the big check is coming." And he convinces the man that he's got a lot of money coming. The big check, of course. It's kind of fast. But anyway, so we get to drive through the town in this beautiful van. And then we go back to the lot. And my dad never buys the big van because the big check never really comes. But this is about the big check. And I'm writing to whoever is in charge of the big check for all of us, artists, poets, musicians. To whom it could concern, I'm calling and writing about the big check I was promised by childhood dreams. Dad always joked about the big check that would put our family on Easy Street. Say, do you have the address for Easy Street? I've been trying to get there, but I keep running into Setback Avenue and Depression Lane. I've been trying to write real good poems and even sang some songs with my friends. We got them on YouTube and SoundCloud. We have 2 of our CDs at this record shop on the east side. But as I stated in the beginning, I need the big check that's obviously been written for me by my famous contemporaries that I don't know. If you see Lorne Michaels of SNL, tell him I'm ready to host the show. And if Simon ever quits America's Got Talent, I'll take that job too. Any chance I could do a Pepsi ad? That's where the real money's at. Just saying. Well, I'll be in touch with your office when I find the address to Somewhere Avenue. Sincerely yours, artist, Brian Burchetti. Sometimes, thank you, I get letters from people, and this comes from Mr. Grim Jones. And I think it's a scam, but I'm really wanting to believe. I call this Halloween 419 letter. Dear sir or madam, I'm writing to ask for your assistance in a matter that could help the people of Transylvania. You see, I am but a poor peasant living under the rules of Count Dracula. He insists we all take care of his cable and internet bill for the castle, as well as the new AC unit he added for a cooler breeze. We are taxed for our gold coins and need to leave. We need a liable party to transfer gold coins and quite possibly send crucifixes and Bibles to ward off the hanger honors Dracula has brought to town. There's drunk werewolves prowling out alleyways. 2 witches fought it out with broomsticks at a bar the other night. The mummy was walking down the street with Frankenstein and both got mugged by wallet zombies. It's getting so rough that the good folks are moving out. So send your bank info, credit card number, and social security number to the creepy sounding address below. This is not a joke. Your help is needed. The Oracle said you were the one. Dr. Jekyll has been in an odd mood lately and drinks lots of that potion that makes him get on an angry drunk. Like I said, it's getting pretty scary here in Transylvania. If you can send money, anything will help. Oh yeah, Igor quit working for Dracula and moved to LA to pursue a career in stand-up comedy. He is missed. No one told limericks at the pub like that. We have lost so much. With your help, we can move next door to you. Sincerely, Grim Jones, 1313 Scary Avenue, Transylvania. And like I said, we get a lot of strange letters around here. But I'm going to end my little part with a piece I call Film. Film. I see it all like a movie from beginning to end. The reel rolls and the credits begin. The title appears and we all meet new friends in strange situations and at odds end, hanging off the cliff or trying to find love to mend. And then the movie begins, an old time black and white scenario, the sounds in stereo, and the scene begins in a park. It's a warm summer day and people walk around. Some are sitting, mulling around. Some just read a novel or the newspaper. The hot dog cart is full of delicious treats. The streets are the music and the city is the soul. Somewhere a guitar player wails for change and gathers just enough bread to get out of the rain soon to come, because it can't always be summer sun. And as I'm talking, someone is running to beat time and infinity. I stand and wave, knowing the whole idea is primitive, diminutive, short-lived hype. I'm here for the night and the thrills, movie reels that spin as the credits begin. I see it all like a movie beginning to end. Thank you. And now, with no further ado, I'd like to bring on something by Mr. David Kosey, whatever he has planned for tonight's show.
Hi. There are only like 5 of us, I guess, but I don't care. I'm going to play some songs for you all I'd like to play. So,
Yeah, David!
if the audio is terrible, I'll just recite some poetry, but we'll see how it goes. How does that sound? Does that sound okay, or is that really glitchy, or sounds cool? Thanks.
Sounds
y'all.
great.
All right, here we go. All right, the first one is kind of grim, like old Grim Jones, I guess. No, no, it's kind of dark. It's about how I feel about, how it seems like the world sometimes gets way too influenced by just a handful of people that think they own everything, I guess. And then the second one is more, it's about getting up in the morning and getting ready for work or whatnot, and just while you're drinking your morning coffee, contemplating about the world. So anyways, here's the first one. This first one, I named Ominous Banshees because sometimes just, it seems like we're just trying to run away from some kind of fate of that is not desired sometimes in life, especially this last year with the COVID junk and everything like that. So, okay, so. Seems like I've been confined in this space for days. Mind is overcome by these rushing, crashing waves. Walking to myself, feeling life is but a dream. My heart begins to race. My heart begins to race when I start remembering the damage that has done my life. It levels unrepaired. This makes for a path that could lead me anywhere. The unforeseen future where I cannot find my role. I've lost too many parts to make me feel like I'm whole. So hate me if you will, if you remind me of our countries ruled by dynasties of crazies interbred to keep the money. All I think of is your brain full of sweeping text to dominate any conversation. So quiet, so we'll think you won. Energy is stolen and wasted by elites on lives of lavish living, weakening beliefs that ordinary people have invested in their dreams. Minds burning out with feelings of defeat. We stand in resistance or we fall and lose control. Shovel out the dirt that it takes to fill the hole. The emptiness and pain of a cord that was severed. Wallow in indifference or try to stay together. And hate me if the world, if you will, if you remind me of our countries ruled by dynasties of crazy interbred to keep the money. All I think of is your brain full of sweeping text to dominate any conversation. So quiet, so you think you won. Yeah, I'll stand in resistance or we'll fall and lose control. And shovel out the dirt that it takes to fill the hole. The emptiness and pain from a cord that was severed. Wallow in indifference or try to stay together. Seems like I've been confined in this space for days. My mind is overcome by the rushing, crashing waves. Walking by myself, feeling life is but a dream. My heart begins to race when I start remembering the damage that has done my life. I live is unrepaired. This makes for a path that could lead me anywhere. The unforeseen future where I cannot find my role. I've lost too many parts to make me feel like I am whole. Alright, that's one. Okay, here's one. This one's more lighthearted too. This one's actually, it's not about waking up in the morning, getting coffee. This one is about flying into New York and spending a weekend with my brother when he graduated college back in 2017. It was a good time. It made me like think a lot about like people like Bob Dylan and all the people in Greenwich Village that had that huge folk explosion back in the 1960s. I watched a documentary about that, and it reminded me a lot of the music that I listened to from that era, and it was pretty cool. And going to New York was a pretty amazing experience because I had not been there before. So, okay, so. Some dream of still waters when there's not much that matters, when hearts can beat slowly and time loses meaning, and highest contradiction, 20 valid submission of requests for paradise, 'cause alarms will sound and gas will fill the tanks of the driven or consuming. Payments that are arranged and the images of the past will fade into glory. And all who came before me will echo in the sentiment of dreams. Will echo in the sentiment of dreams. Will buildings fall? Could I lose it all? As hard as my ethic drives me day to day, and will seasons pass? Could any of this last? The horizon in front of me is just a symbol of uncertainty. Because alarms will sound and gas will fill the tanks of the driven or consuming. Payments that are arranged and the images of the past will fade into glory. And all who came before me will echo in the sentiment of dream. Will echo in the sentiment of dream. Oh, and lavender will ride the ocean to the shore of endless stupid candies. I have no clue to know, and the bridge to a new city, and the traffic as we cross. I understand the permanence of time gone by, but love is never lost. Because alarms will sound and gas will fill the tanks of the driven or consuming. Payments that are arranged and the images of the past will fade into glory. And all who came before me will echo in the sentiment of dream. That's another one.
That was really good.
Thank you. I really appreciate y'all listening.
I like that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a little more put together than the first one. See if I can remember this. Okay, this one is a song I wrote for my wife when she wasn't my wife yet. We were still dating and stuff like that. But I was so enthralled with the dating experience, and I was ready to ask her to marry me, but it was like way too soon. I was like, I'm going to have to wait on this, but I thought I'd at least write her a song. So I wrote her the song, and I think it really freaked her out, and she was like, oh my God. This is either the love of my life or this guy might stalk me or something if we don't stay together. But I don't know. She likes the song, so that's good. So it seems like fate draws us together. The deeper we believe, a chord that will not settle. What we lose, we will retrieve. Speak it, feel it, write it, trace the letters in your hand. we stand. When it comes again, when it comes again, when it comes again, our love lasts through every incarnation. When it comes again, when it comes again, when it comes again, our love lasts through every incarnation. Words fill seas that stretch the heart, they feed the rivers of our veins. When our lives end, one thing remains, a love that we will find again. Time and time again, beginnings, changes we must process in our minds, in nights foreshadowing, days so bright that they will leave us blind. And when I look into your eyes, I see infinity of memories buried in our hearts. Will we realize when it comes again, when it comes again, when it comes again, our love lasts through every incarnation. When it comes again, when it comes again, when it comes again, our love lasts through every incarnation. The waves of days that flood my mind, abandoned by my original kind, fading lives of family, who could be there left with me? Come into my life again like a first and final living attraction. When our lips and bodies are combined, you replace my stolen peace of mind. I owe so much to you, you live for love and it radiates out of you. Your imagination is a beauty I can learn. I will help you feed this fire that you burn. I will help you feed this fire that you burn. Let me live for love with you, heal the dark in my heart, erase the times that haunt my mind, give me new memories. I can hear you, I can feel you, no matter how far we stray, I will find you when it comes again, when it comes again, when it comes again, our love lasts through every incarnation. When it comes again, when it comes again, when it comes again, our love lasts through every incarnation. When it comes again, when it comes again, when it comes again, our love lasts through every incarnation. When it comes again, when it comes again, when it comes again, our love lasts through every incarnation.
That was amazing.
Thanks, y'all. Yeah, that was for my wife, Abby. So,
I got one request for the end of this show.
Sure.
Something we've never ever done. Okay. Like in the title, we mixed the open mic Cookville with Literature Cafe Global. Right. I want you to tell us a little bit about open mic Cookville.
Okay.
Throw a couple links in there because I want people to be able to see all the angles these shows come from, not just the Literature Cafe Global prestige. No, we're connected. So give us an ending about open mic Cookville.
Okay. Open Mic Cookville was a show that we did at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, so that we knew. Me and my friends, we all had some really hard times. The first, March was just hell for everyone, I'm sure. March of 2020, when the lockdowns really started, and everybody had to readjust and figure out what they were going to do with their lives. and I had to take a break from work. I had to go. I don't know. I had like a no sleep problem where I just couldn't sleep, so I had to go into the hospital and stuff, and went to the ER, and from there I got transferred for a place where I could get on some sleeping medication and stuff like that, and get things adjusted. And then I came out and took some time off, and it seemed like the day after I got out of the hospital, I had two friends call me up and they said, "Dave, you host this open mic in Cookeville. We used to host it at Char, in Cookeville, Tennessee. It's on the square in Tennessee, or Cookeville." And well, they were like, "We need to do something online. We need to do Zoom or something." And I was like, "Well, we're doing Zoom with some friends of mine, and I like it okay, but we're doing a bunch of music." And at the time, I not many of us knew how to get music to sound good on Zoom. We hadn't figured it out yet. So what we did was we got together and started putting together these collages, these shows, kind of like we do now with the Literature Cafe Global. Some of our shows are, music videos and stuff. And yeah, we just stream them all together. I hosted it kind of like Brian does now and stuff, with the shows and how he's always hosted Literature Cafe Global. But we've kind of adopted that format for a few of our publications now. And but anyways, that we just put these shows together. It was like a variety show of a bunch of different musicians and stuff like that, and poets and comedians. We had some silly sketches and stuff on there sometimes, and it was a lot of fun. And we did about 8 episodes, I think, and then I guess everybody just went back to work, and it was hard to get enough people to participate in Cookeville. And I was super thrilled to help Brian out so much with this the Literature Cafe Global, because it's getting people from all over the world. So we have like an abundance of content, and we love it. Like, we're getting things from all over, not just like Cookeville, Tennessee, which it's kind of disappointing, but after a while it was just really hard to get a lot of people from that general area to be able to come up with new stuff and put it on the show. We were doing it every week for a while. I have to admit that my my marriage started kind of suffering for a minute there, simply because I was spending too much time on that show, and that's all I ever talked about was the show. And Abby was like, "Dave, you got to cut this out. This is taking too much of your time." And I'm like, "That's a good point. Thank you very much." And I told her I'd cut it out, so we started doing shows less often and stuff like that. But and then finally everybody went back to work, so it was hard to get it together. But I'm just so thankful that we have this platform that Brian and all of you have provided. Because if it weren't for if it weren't for all of us being just us 5 here, and the people before that were here, if it weren't for us, this would not be a show. And I have so much gratitude for everybody's participation personally, as just a person that likes to participate. So we definitely don't get paid for any of this. I didn't get paid for the Open Mic Cookeville. We don't care. I believe, this is my belief, and I don't expect anybody else to share this belief, but my belief is true art in any form comes most earnestly when you do it for yourself and not for any kind of commission. I feel like it comes out so pure when we do it for ourselves and not necessarily for money. The big check, yeah. No, I don't know. It doesn't even matter.
The big check's coming, Dave. The big check's coming.
That is funny. I was like 500. Wow, I did it through a cash app. Awesome. You're worth it, Henry. That's funny.
I'm just humbled to Brian. That's great. Brian sent me $500 for my cash app. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Hey, what about my 500? No.
Where's my 500? I've been here a while. Really? Send out 500 to one person. Everybody wants it. Yeah, just don't anybody write to that Transylvania place. It's a fake.
But one thing about doing these shows, just like volunteering, is that Brian and I, we can do these shows however the heck we want to do them,
Yeah. Well, we try to break the rules on purpose because a lot of people don't, you know, and you got to have fun.
And it's neat because we can switch it up and no one gets too freaked out, you know, usually. So,
Well, sometimes David should be putting you know, talking about something, and I'll step back and I'll listen because I don't have all the information, you know, and anybody that thinks they do, I can't do that, you know. Sometimes it's like editing. It's like I don't know all this editing stuff. I wish I did.
if it weren't for the software that I use, like I use Filmora 10 and I use Nero Movie Maker. Those two programs are super cheap compared to like some of the more popular ones, but they're both great programs. And if it weren't for like the programs being so user friendly to begin with, as well as much as they can be, they're you kind of got to read about them, I guess. But and just you know, taking suggestions from people how we can improve the show, you know, all of that together. I mean, I don't feel like when it comes to editing, I have a lot of original ideas. A lot of it's like, you know, people teaching me new ways, techniques and stuff, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, David. Well, guys, I hope everybody's had a great time tonight. And it's been a wonderful show. We've had awesome poetry. We've had great music. We've covered the globe. It's just amazing, you know.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Enjoyed myself. Yes.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for hosting. Thanks for having me.
Nice to meet you, man. It's really great to meet you. Like we haven't seen you or D. We haven't seen him before, so it's really nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're all good people.
Yeah. Well, I noticed we had a lot of people tonight that had hosted shows, so I could tell people had the experience because the material that was coming out was just like gold. It was beautiful, you know.
And like I said, John, if you want, like we have this show, this music video show, I'll put this out as its natural form. But then we do this more like quicker, like 30, 45-minute show where we show like, you know, 5-minute segments of different things, sometimes more or less. But it's just a great way to, I feel, people with shorter attention spans to be able to be exposed to your stuff or what.
Well, you know, Reber, also make sure you put the Reberhead emails so they can send you videos and stuff too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
If everybody wants to submit videos too, like say you got something you put together and you're rather proud of how you put it together with the music and stuff, David's going to put in the chat box.
Video, or if you want, you can give me permission. I'll only do it with permission, but like I've got a program that I got from Nero or whatever where it allows me to take, you know, take videos off of YouTube and stuff, and I can place them on the show and stuff. So that's the easiest way. I can do that pretty simply. It will not be as high fidelity, but you can't tell really. Right. Okay. Well, do we have anything else or?
No, I'm good. Hope everybody has a great night.
Yeah.
You still with us, Francesca, or did you have to go to sleep? Still here?
I think she's here. Francesca,
I'm here. I don't have anything else though.
There she is.
Oh, no, we're not asking for no more poetry. Yeah, we need all of your poetry. Give us all your poems.
Well, I'm going to be rambling some more, but not right now.
No, you don't
I'm
got you.
actually watching NPT, and I guess I could ramble about that because it's.
Well, if you want to do a finale
the
poem
English
for Francesca, you can.
And it's all right. I've got it all. The things that I wanted to say out right now because I did a lot of rambling. Like I said, I'm good.
You're good. All right. And that the Literature Cafe Global is good, and we will be back. We're actually coming out with part 4 of the video show, and everybody here, I hope, will be on it.
Fabulous.
Ramble on.
Ramble on.
You guys have a creative
Maybe we can
night.
do that song next time. Ramble on. That could be like the theme song for me coming up.
Yeah, we're gonna have Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin on the next show.
I've actually met him, and my friend made a
Yeah.
bracelet for him. And he had that new band called Band of Joy, but it's not new anymore. It's like 5 years past, but it was kind of funny that my friend made the bracelet for his new video that he had way back. But anyways, now he's with Alison Krauss, so that's another kind of fun thing. He's singing with Alison Krauss now. I don't know if you guys knew that, but yeah, Robert Plant and Alison Krauss. Woo!
Have a good night.
All right, you have
See
a
you,
good
everybody.
night.
See ya.
Goodbye, Em. Turn it off. Thank you.
Hesitation is the only thing for me to fear. My thoughts concrete about the reasons I have made it here. I no longer look behind me to the life that's disappearing. You're coming home again, the fog is finally clearing. I don't regret this, I don't try to speculate. This future here before me, there is nothing true that is at stake. But there is reason to embrace and not forsake. A chance to learn to live and be the change I want so much to make.